Yes, and here we are again with a new episode of Dance Gems. Today we are going to talk about support services, support points, center of gravity, and gravity in dance. Now, that's a lot of terms, but we will clarify that as we move to our next episode of Dance Gems. And I would never do that, of course, without my good friend and colleague Ton Greten. Ton, let me see if you're there.
I'm there, Sean. I could understand anything because the music was so loud and the title, what you did. Well, maybe you can repeat it. So
Yeah,
our intro
I will
was there.
repeat the title. We are going to talk about support services, support points, center of gravity, and gravity in dance. That's a lot of things, but but they are all, they're all related and well, at least we think important for the topic that we have today. You know. All related. So I'm sure I will repeat it a few more times what the differences are before we go there. But good to see you. Another episode of Dance Gems.
Yes, it's dance from a different perspective.
And then since we haven't done that for a long time, some people think it's because, you and I both have a background in ballroom dancing, if you say it correctly, in standard and Latin. But luckily for both of us, at least, is the dance gems goes way beyond dance, only for ballroom dancing. And very often, I must say, once in a while, I listen back to our own podcast. It has actually to do just with movement in general, and very often, actually, just also with life. Right? That's not maybe the main goal because we would love to talk about dance, but very often the things we talk about has a lot to do with life. But once in a while, we take some very, well, let's say more specific dance-related topic, like today. But maybe very often we find also a connection with other things that dance, and maybe that's the case too as well. So, Ton, let's start you know, with what we are going to talk about today. You know,
Yes, gravity, the center of gravity, if that would be exist.
yeah,
is the support points in, of your body parts touching the floor, then the support surface, then the center of the body when it exists. I tell it already. And, and then how you can shift your body weight and from foot to foot or from hand to hand or from shoulder to hand. Yes, that's really an interesting topic because if you think about that one, you can analyze some issues in your dance where you have problems or issues or challenging with your balance. You could, by analyzing these points, what I said, the center of gravity, support points, the support surface, uh, this you could already a lot of analyze and solve some of your issues or problems, challengings to get not off balance. It's quite, in my opinion, once you know it, what is with everything, then it's quite very subjective, easy to understand for yourself.
yeah.
But before you are there, yeah,
No, I just wanted to say that what we try to do with dance gems is we try to make a very clear distinction between the things we talk about, right? So people say, yeah, but why is there a difference between a support point and a support surface? Well, of course, we only work with the definition as Tom has defined it in his book Dance Gems, and very often in the podcast we actually go beyond that because we knowledge try to put that in. But let's first start with support points, right? Or touch
yeah,
points.
logical.
Yeah. So
Yes,
in dance we often only think about the foot that touch the floor, right? But then you can
Mhm.
already think about, do I put my whole foot on the floor? Do I have both foot in the floor? Do I maybe have a hand on the floor? Can it also be with other body parts? Like I said, maybe not so common in ballroom dancing, right? But in other places, very common that you can have more than one of those touch and support points on the. Now, arguably, you could say the
Correct.
more of those points you have, they would at least have an influence on your balance, right? Better or worse?
I
Yeah,
could give
go ahead.
one example.
Mhm.
If I walk on my toes, both feet, then I have two uh, points on the floor. 10 toes, if you have 10 toes. Maybe somebody has 9 or 11, could be 2, because our nature is not that perfect. But we assume that everybody has 10 toes. And if you are high on your toes, actually, you have two support points. But if you switch to one, you feel immediately that that the balance will be a challenge to keep the balance, and you need then a certain of strength exercises for it to keep that balance and find the gravity line from your body to your foot that it's in one line vertical when you are standing vertical. Um, and if you walk on two flat feet, then your surface is bigger and the support points are also bigger. And if the feet are wider, your surface gets also wider. And the balance get more stable and your gravity point gets more lower. But if you go again to the toes and then from 2 feet of support points to 1 feet or foot, then you will immediately feel what the challenge is to keep that balance.
For sure, for sure. And in your book, that is actually, I think, very clear. Well, it's clear for me, right? That's also subjective, right? But it's I think
Mhm.
it's very clear described the difference between a support point and then you have a support surface, right? If you and you can
Yeah.
also experiment it while you're actually listening to this podcast, which is nice because typically we you can listen it and pause it. In this case, I would do that, right? You could, could start with standing on 2 feet and then on 1 foot, in how that feels. But you can also say, hey, I put my 2 feet together, or I put them a little bit further apart. What would that do to your balance? Now, if you put your foot close to get your feet close together, you have a smaller support surface than when you put your feet wider apart, right? That is now, and then you can also challenge yourself with, hey, how far can I put my feet together before my balance get challenged again, right?
Mhm.
That's interesting too. And all these things actually that Tom and I talk about, it's really helpful if you really just experiment yourself. Challenge what we say, you know? Okay, is it really true that if you stand on your toe, that's more challenging for your balance? Well, that sounds very logic, but maybe it's not. Maybe it's not logic. Just try it out, right? Try it out. Um,
Yes, actually, so
mhm.
whatever your body touch the floor, usually the feet, but
Yeah.
when these are other body parts, we have 10 in the jam: head, shoulder, hands, fingers, everything could touch the floor, and how more support points are on the floor, how more stable it is. So if I lay down with my whole body and my body would uh, in the front or on the back or to the side touch the floor, to the side, it's already a challenge more because the surface is smaller. But if you have a wide surface, like
Okay.
when you lying on the back with your total body, then the balance is really,
Yeah.
you don't have to do a lot for it because the gravity will work.
Well, well,
But the whole leg support points, I will turn it around, how, how more challenges it gets to keep the balance and keep everything that you are not falling and keep it in balance.
yeah.
That's
So that's
actually what I wanted to say.
yeah.
Mhm.
So this is the exercise that I normally give with not all my students, because in my studio most of the people just come for social dancing. They don't want to immediately know about these things. Maybe later on, but I let people lay on the floor with all their heads down, everything down, which they feel very stable. And I only ask them to lift one body part, either a head or an arm or a leg. And they will notice immediately that when they just lift up their head, that the whole body reacts to stay more in balance. Or when they lift up a whole leg. But the arm
Yes.
typically can stay pretty much the same. But once it's a leg or whether it's a head, they immediately feel that shift. Uh, so first of all, you can say, hey, your surface that touches the floor became smaller. That's one reason. And then I let them work with the other reasons as well. So again, Tom very often also gives all these little tips what you can try at home, but you actually should try it. Just stop the podcast, go lay on the floor if it's safe. If you're in your car, don't do it. But if you're at home, you can do it, and just try a couple of these things. So Tom said, "Hey, if you lay on your side, it's smaller, right? But if you lay on your back or on your front, it's typically most people have a uh, wider surface there, and then it becomes more stable."
Yes. Also, Sean, when you are the partner, you can have also contact points with your partner, say hand to hand,
Absolutely.
or when I'm lifting, my partner lift me, it will say that I have support of my partner to get in the air, and I get lift. And I could do this with all major points what you can bend and where your joint is in your elbow or in your wrist. Can do it by the camera, by your neck. And these are holding points, and everything what can bend or flex a lot. And you can also hold and put some power on it. And how more the surface is on that body, how more you get support. And even there it's the same, like on the floor, how less support points and how less surface there is, how more challenging it will be to keep the balance. So then you need to do more power training to stabilize it more with your muscle tonus to keep the body in balance, and a lot of exercise, of course. And if you do it the first time, that's always different than if you did it already 100 times or 1,000 times. That's also experience. So you need then experience, you need to do exercises for that, and the power training, and not only in mobility, but also in strength. Both are actually important to use that for your support points and your support surface.
Yeah, and I
Yes,
would actually add to that is also practice full relaxation of the body,
yes,
because sometimes, and again, I would stimulate you to try to experiment, get you in some positions you get more balance when you relax. In other positions, you get more balance when you use a little bit more muscle tonus. And
yes,
you can ask yourself, why is that? Which we know, of course, but it's really good Ton and I are always big believers is, if you find it out yourself, your knowledge and your skills stay longer with you than when we exactly say what to do. Now, both needs to happen, but these are
Yes.
these are fun exercises actually to try. In the beginning, maybe you want to hold a chair. If you go stand on your toe, and then you want to challenge yourself, if you can do that without holding anything, holding a bar or holding the wall or holding a chair. That's
Yes. Actually, if you put a chair with one contact point into the air, or with two, you feel already if it's lighter or more heavy. And exactly it is with the partnering, but the difference with the partnering is you have two persons who are all alive and breathing. So then it's also 50-50 what you do. The one who gets in the air helps also with the muscle tension and with the support points, etc. And the one who is lifting also. So it's not like if you go in the air that you are totally relaxed and the one who is lifting must do all the work. So it's partnering and you do this together. Mostly it's 50-50. It could be 60-40, but also vice versa. But the more the partner is mobile, uh, the strength is there. Even you not need the experience of it. If you have both of that already, that you support also your partner, this will help enormously. Enormous. Well, always say this in English.
just enormously. Yeah, very good. And but one of the things that I always see in your choreography or the dances that you make is that you literally make a lot of use of that. How people lean to each other, how people hang each other. It's not always necessary to fully lift each other, but just taking over someone's weight by hanging against the other or leaning and know the difference between the two is I see that a lot in your choreographies, uh, which is principle is very nice. When do I kind of support the other one in balance? When does the other one support me in my balance? When do we support each other in our common balance? Those are three different things already. And with that, you can, if you look at Tom's dances, that in itself already can lead to so many things. It's one of the things that I immediately saw like, wow, you always use the weight of body a lot in how people dance.
Yes, and the support points, how more you are aware of it, how more you can play with it. If you be not so aware of it, then it's more on instinct or on intuition. And if you be aware of it, you could have influence on it and you could manipulate these points and you could also work more together from both sides, from the one who is lifting and the one who is getting lifted. And also on the floor, if you do floor work, there is a difference between turning and rolling on the floor. If you turn, you can turn on a knee, but mostly you roll with the whole body in a horizontal way, but you can also roll in a vertical way. That's also different things. And how slower everything goes on floor work, also in the lifting work, how more challenging it will be for the power. Because you need more to rely on your power and your muscle strength. How slower it goes, how faster it goes, and you need less power but more coordination because it goes more in speed. And yes, do a slow lift in slow motion or do the same lift and very fast, and actually I would not give this a point, but if the partner even jump, um, then they think they help the partner. But what had happened with the jumping is when you jump into the air, then you lose the support point, and the partner under it has to catch that support point. And if you not have practiced this many times, then it will actually get more heavy, and instead that it would be lighter if you relieve the support point without jumping. So that's a tip what I would give to you, that if you lift, jump as less as possible.
Yeah, yeah. Uh, well, you know a lot about lift work, right? Something that you also have acquired over time, which is in all different. It's not so common in ballroom and Latin dancing, unless we do show dances, obviously, right? But in other dance form, lifting is just an integral part of it. But you already hear from when I listen to Ton, I always try to listen to the words that he used, right? There's a huge difference between a lift and a jump, right? And some people think that we help someone if they need to lift us by jumping. Huh? And so that could be a part of the choreography, obviously, right? It's just a little bit to a higher degree of complexity, right? To a higher degree. It's easier to lean first against someone and lift that person from that point when all these contact points are established than when you suddenly jump in someone's arm, because then suddenly you have the whole weight of that person unexpectedly in your arms, which could be part of the of the choreography, but do note is that requires another, you know, practice, right? Jumping in someone's arm looks way more easy than it is, right? And so I
Yes.
cannot tell you, Tom, how often I seriously not get the no seriously get the request when people want to do a wedding dance. Um, can we do the dirty dancing thing? When someone
What?
runs at you, he
I had
catches her, and they have no idea how complicated it is.
one of the partner is 100 kilogram,
Yeah,
and the other one,
besides that, but it has a lot to do with contact points. Where you,
yeah, absolutely.
uh, it's and of course that. I mean, I'm not even saying that is necessary, but that is typically what dancers do. Is we want to make it look easy, right?
Mhm.
Which is also
Yes,
subjective. Would if
yes,
I what I would do right
absolutely.
now, because why would you never look at make difficult, but it's a choice. So we want to make things for other people are difficult, make it easy, and therefore it sometimes looks like, oh, I could do that too. Yeah.
Yeah. I was now in Russia, and in Russia, I worked with a rhythmical gymnast,
Hmm.
and she was several times world champion and going to the Olympics. Also, I don't know if she was Olympic champion, European champion, and she never was lift. And I was making a theater show, a piece for the theater, and the one who was lifting had a lot of experience with lifting. When the girl would get lift, she had zero experience. But because she was had a certain power in her body from her muscles, and she was hyper flexible, and it was a piece of cake for her. And even I was so surprised that everything goes so fast, but the body was so flexible and so strong
Yeah.
that you could do immediately everything. And part girls who not have that, or boys who get lifted, um, they start with how you say in football terms with 0-5, or actually you have to do a lot of muscle training because that helps also. And then when you have the experience, like the one who did a lot of lifting already, oh, that was really so easy. Actually, almost I have only to think. So when you leave the floor, what you're doing during in the air, how creative we can be with our flexibility,
Yeah.
because he could hold almost everything, how we could make the combinations from A to B to C to D, change the form constantly, and how we arrive on the floor. And that's actually the contact point leave on the floor, contact point in the air from the part ring, and arrive the floor. These are the support points. And if you are strong enough and flexible enough, actually, I can tell you, it will be quite easy for somebody who had that. But we can go to the next one because we spoke already about it. It's the support points and how wider the support points are on the floor, how wider the surface is on that floor, the base of support. You could also call it like that, Sean. And what I can tell more, uh, yeah, it's important what space you have between the contact points. If it would be 2 feet normally, how wider the feet, how more the surface is, how lower your gravity point comes. But there will be a point coming where you are not flexible enough, and then you have to hold it with your strength. And when you do a split, or yes, when you do this between 2 feet, then again there is when you can go low enough, you can again put the hands on the floor and you get 2 extra support points. And when you lean forward with the body, the support face will be bigger and bigger. And actually, how wider, how more stable it is and grounded. Yeah. And how narrow the base is, how less stable it will be. That is what you have to remember. And spinning on one foot, that is also a challenge. A flat foot, it's again, I assume, easier because the surface is bigger. But if you are high on the toes and you spin them or turn them, a pirouette in the ballet terms, then it gets a challenge again, and you need experience also again. Yeah. We could go to the next one, or you have to tell something more about the support.
I loved your examples. I think it's good. Can go to the next one because.
Yeah, next one is the gravity, because all people in the world have a certain gravity to the earth. And somebody who's 20 kilogram and somebody who's 100 kilogram, I don't know how it is in pound. I think a double, 200 pound and 40 pound.
Yeah, it's a little bit more. It's kind of good rule of thumb.
Yes. Or stones, as they also have shown.
No, not that. Not that's not very common.
No. Okay. Well, anyway, gravity, that's the earth, what pulls you down to that earth. And everybody has that. Dancers, sporters, people in their daily life. And like my chair will pull down already because it has a certain weight. And how bigger the support points or wider they are, how lower they are, how more stable you are. That actually, that's the fact. And when we would be on the moon, in the moon, we are 6 times lighter, or the gravity, we are not lighter, the weight is the same of our body, but the pulling from the moon, it's 6 times less than the Earth.
Yeah.
That's what I remember from my school. I don't know exactly if it's 6 times, maybe it's 6 times 1 or 6 times 2, but actually it's less on the moon. And how more far you come from the sun also, how less gravity there is.
Gravity. That's
So,
the gravity pull, right?
yes,
But any mass, any object with mass has a gravity pull, right?
yeah,
Towards each other. So the Earth is relatively big. That if you have a very small object, that the Earth pulls to the pull towards each other is of course less. You can literally calculate. There is a formula. Mr. Newton actually is the one who came up with those rules, and we still use those things. Towards it, of course, if we go looking at the moon is smaller than the Earth, and hence, therefore, it has a smaller gravity pull. The sun is huge, compared to the Earth, and has a huge gravity pull. Actually, we can still feel it a little bit here when the moon is going around us, because the whole tides, ebb and high tide and low tide, in Dutch we would say ebb and flood, is under influence of the gravity pull of the moon. So the moon has still a pull towards the Earth. It is small, but if it's a massive amount of water, it actually is doing that. And then when everything is in one line, we get super high tide when all these planets and the sun in one line. It's super high tide. It actually literally pulls the water all the way down. It's a little bit more complex than that. That's
yes,
how strong gravity pull is. It's way stronger, and we all are subject to those laws. You cannot escape these laws. There is not like I have, I don't. As dancers, we try to, pretend, that we are less, subject of these gravity pull. For instance, if you look at classical ballet, that they make a super nice jeté, a jump. It almost looks like they have no weight. Well, they have the same weight, of course, in the air as they were on the floor, but they
yeah.
do it so elegant that we.
So it's incredible, so how some men could jump, and Baryshnikov, or was it Baryshnikov? No, the other one, Nureyev,
Nuria,
the famous ballerina. They were famous for their jumps. You have, of course, many people from ballet dancers from China. It's incredible when you see how they can jump, what they trained a lot of their strength, and also uh, even in the ice skating, when I look to people from Japan, Russia, America, sometimes they can jump even without the ice skating shoes on the floor. They can turn 3 times, and the ballet dancer usually 2 times in the air, and I can do 1 time from but
that's already that's already
all
good.
1 minute. When I really trained, I could do 2, but it cost really a lot of effort. And then I could do only 1, and a ballet dancer can do, say, a double one, a double one, a double one, say, triple behind each other. So then you have 6 times, 2 times a turn. That's really incredible. And when you look to the ice skating, they can make a triple on variated ways. It's unbelievable how they do that. And also gymnasts on the floor, and break dancers when they do their flips. It looks also right because they use the gravity actually with the muscle and the timing what they have and their
Speed, yeah.
techniques what they developed during these years. It's so beautiful to see. We had all in the ballroom Latin jump like in the quick step, and when you see some pictures of two persons who do a split in the air then almost, and that looks also incredible when you get these pictures like a snapshot, what is freezing the form on the picture, and mostly they are stunning, but they are only a fraction of a second in the air. But still, the picture I could watch maybe a minute for it, or maybe longer, because it looks so incredible, like they are flying. And yes, and in the universe, actually, we would be very, very light. And this is why we practice also in the water. And this I would also say to dancers, if you do lift work, do it in the water. Because first at all, when you fall in the water. And the hurting of yourself is also less. And you can play with the contact points. Even the hands are maybe a little bit more slippery because they are wet. But, and again, how the surface must be, if will be on ice or it will be on a stone, that's also a different grip. And actually, the shoes what you wear on the floor give also certain grip to the support points, the gravity, and the support surface. So it is end. It's not only one point, it's a very holistic. And then, yeah, you want to say something more, Sean, about that?
No, I just wanted to say that the to gravity and the way ice dancers and ballet dancers use it, they also of course, use their technique, but they also know how to use speed, right? So you always see ice skaters first, start to accelerate and then make these fantastic, triple, sometimes even quadruple turns in mid-air because of the speed that they have. So it's the height that they can jump, it's the speed that they can develop, and it's the technique that they have. And lifting off is one thing, but like you said, the landing in itself is already it's so it all get measured in these things. Uh, yeah, it's an incredibly combination of skills and knowledge that needs to come together, and hours of practice to do that. Yeah.
Yes, maybe we can speak, Sean, also about the point or the center of gravity, and you have the center of your body. But both of them are imaginary.
The word itself, of course, is not imaginary, but the point that we often talk about in dancing and in other not only dancing, but uh, is an imaginary point.
Yes, and people think it's a fact that you have a center of your body. Actually, it's imaginary that there is a center, what you could imagine, and where you could connect your body parts and your support points, and actually, you could imagine where the center of gravity would be, but it's never a fact, except when you take a rope around you and you put some weight under it, then the weight probably when you are between 2 feet um, would pull you down, but also you could see where the imaginary point would be if you transfer your weight. And that's nice how that you could play with the support points of the weight transport plus the imaginary center of gravity and the center of your body. Then you could imagine where it would be. But I can do this only with the center of gravity. I don't have an example of the center of the body, how you could make that visible. That's actually not possible. Even in the anatomy, it not exists a gravity, a center of, center of the body.
Well, I think it comes down from maybe a little bit more a mathematical approach, right? So if you take a cube, you could find literally the center of that cube, right? Where every distance from that point is equally to another point. And so with any body, specifically with geometrical bodies, you can actually find the center of it, right? By measuring it, and you can exactly find that point. And we had to do it, of course, the classes. Now, I wish the body was that equal. And there are, there are some people who have done that point. So you can kind of find maybe from a body point of view where the center is, but the moment you shift it, movement, it would already change. So it's interesting to talk about it, but to accept it as this is the fact and this is where that point is becomes a little bit arbitrary because it's an imaginary point. And even when I started to teach Tom, I said it too, and that bring your center of gravity a little higher when it's in Latin, and you bring it a little bit lower in Aruba, and and like you could move that point, right? Basically, what we did, we would change the tonus and the muscles a little bit here and there.
Yes.
And that is a little bit what Tom and I like to do. I mean, if you want to talk about it like that, we're not saying, oh, that's all wrong. We're just saying, hey, let's define more precise what you're doing, right? I bring just more tonus from one place to the other in my body, and it gives maybe the appearance that I carry my body in a slightly different way. And that's a little bit, we at least believe that's more precise than just saying, oh, and I did that too, Tom. I must honestly say, I said, I bring my center up and then I bring it down.
They say also,
Yeah.
you know what it is. You know what it is.
No, of course not. But I heard it and I took it over, and that's a little bit without really thinking about it. And of course, until we started to really study, is what we do. So our whole, that's
all these teachers, when I was a young dancer, teachers, they often talk about finding out where your center is. And I couldn't feel it. And my teacher said, everybody could feel it. Everybody can feel it. And that was the assumption. But I felt myself so stupid that I didn't feel it. And after many, many years, I realized it's imaginary. And scientifically, there is no fixed magical point. You can forget that. Your center of gravity shifts constantly, always, and could imagine where it would be, and also the center of your body to connect your body parts. But that's it. It shifts always. Even when I put my finger slightly there will change something in my hand. And already the gravity of point or center of my hand will not fall down because my hand pull also down to the earth. It will be somewhere, but because my wrist, the joint, because it's fixed there, it will hold it because my arm is holding. But when I would relax my body totally, I would falling, and I could use that falling as an how you say, as a tool to use the gravity. And this we have also with walking. Do a Roomba walk or just walking or running. We have ski running, and with the ski running, if someone can tell you something about it, you use the gravity to let fall the body, and the foot will come under that body and quick enough to support that body. And that's playing with the gravity. And the same we have shown with running too. So you have techniques. What you could do, you could push from your back foot. That's one technique. And you could fall and use the gravity. That's both are working, and they have also an advantage and disadvantage. Maybe you can tell more about it, Sean.
Actually, with chi running, um, that's a technique developed by a marathon runner, at the time long distance runner, and he actually was trying how can I conserve uh, more energy, physical energy when I run. So he was trying to run as efficient as possible. And he knew a lot about gravity, so he was thinking, can I constantly in some sort of a falling mode, right? Without really falling. And, he stopped the falling by constantly putting his feet under himself. So you can actually practice that if you go in a fully upright position, fully straight, and then you walk, that is how a lot of people walk. But if you push your body slightly forward to the point that it almost fall, and you let your feet catch your falling, then you're in a constant falling. Now, whether he had that idea from that or not, we don't know. But this is actually also how we nowadays, launch a rocket. The rocket actually does not go straight up, right? It goes at some point in time with the curve of the Earth, and it causes that it gets into a constant falling mode, and that costs way less energy because it costs a lot of energy, by the way, to get loose from Earth's gravity. So just for the sheer fact that they have to bring all that fuel with them, right? They had to find a solution, and the solution was actually found in using the gravity in a constant way. Also, a lot of things that we put around the Earth, actually, we let them just be in a constant falling mode. They actually don't circle, they don't hover around us, like a lot of people think. They are in a constant falling mode, right? They're constantly falling. But since the Earth has a curve, it never reaches the Earth, but they're far enough to do that. And that principle is a little bit used in Qi running in a simple way. We are in a constant falling mode. So we actually use the mass of our body in combination with the gravity of the Earth. Remember, I said you need to have two masses to have gravity pull. And that actually conserves energy. And it actually worked because I followed a few courses on it. I definitely am not an expert in it, not at all, Tom, but I experienced the difference. We use it also in certain techniques, right, where we let the gravity help us. And sometimes Tom thinks always it's kind of fun to do the opposite. Can you
Yes,
do things that are completely unlogical if it comes to the gravity, which you can only experience if you experience both sides. Dancing doesn't always have to be efficient, right? I hear that a lot. You follow the natural move of the body to get good dancing. I agree with
mhm,
it.
yes, correct, Sean. And all that ski running you can really actually use also for your dancing.
Yeah,
Doesn't matter hip hop,
yeah.
ballet, contemporary, ballroom dancing, and we have similar techniques to use for that. But also there isn't no truth in it. I will explain that one because some teachers think they have the truth and how I can say that. And this concept is only a concept. Yeah, the center, they use the center as powerful, and actually it's more the core of your muscles and your mental focus that that gives that imaginary point, and to use all these points, the support points, the support surface, the center of gravity, and the center of your body. That's all playing with it actually to feel a balance. And I will give you an example. I've sometimes ballroom dancers and contemporary dancers here. The ballroom dancers say, yeah, but I never have balance, but all four on the toes. And there are 4 contact points together with 2 persons. And I said, okay, when now one goes on the flat foot, then you have balance and the other one could hold it, and still your legs look longer because they use the point. Yeah, but when we all 4 on toes, then we have, it seems to look that we have longer legs. I said, you don't have longer legs. You only get on the toes by imaginary, your legs looks longer. And this is for me the correct wording, because your legs cannot get longer when you get on the toes, they look only longer.
Yeah.
And that's how I see the world. And when I say one of you can be flat on the floor, oh no, that's wrong, you cannot do that, we get less marks when we get to competition. Okay, I said, but try it first. And then they try, oh, we have balance. How it's possible? I said, yeah, your soft place is higher, your gravity point is lower, so you have a little bit more stability. It's quite logical, in my opinion. And underlies of 5 seconds. Yeah. So if you understand the gravity, the center of the gravity, the support points, the support surface, so the base of support, and the center of the body, you understand a lot of already. And if you can play between all these points, you can do your advantage with it. And it's always a mind-body thing. Anchor, you, it's not single the anatomy that works. It's also all these points holistically works together. And if you listen to the podcast again, you can put some points out of it, but and write them down if it would help to you. So, yeah, that's
No,
quite
it is.
answered. Sean.
It's I think it's I think it's an amazing, it's amazing, just only with using these 4 or 5 items or topics, there is so much to do, right? And see if people tend to go a little bit more for safety, right? So if they have a problem closing the feet, sometimes it is they don't feel safe enough to do that. Because dancing is not always finding your balance, right? Dancing is very often challenging the gravity and the balance that you have, right?
Yes,
But if
and
you
playing with that.
and definitely play with it, but if you can alter it where you can show that you can find it and go out of it, that gives that feeling that we are often looking for. So you need to explore all these points.
If I would do a swing, we have a
Yeah,
swing dance or like a slow waltz when I put it in our ballroom roll, then you could use that gravity
yeah,
and let your body fall and use the center of gravity where you pass from your swing, and to hold that with your muscles at the end, with your strength of your muscles. and find the core of it to get balance in it. And and the exercise is to do it so often as possible, it, that you can play with the gravity. Then sometimes you push from it, and sometimes you let it fall. And both are working. There's no truth in it, because when people say that's the only correct way, and I will be agree. It's about the artist. How more options he has, how more options where he can choose from, and how more he can define their art.
Yeah.
And that's the way to put only one truth there. I hear this often from a teacher: when you do it like this, and then it's natural, it's normal.
Or then it,
But it isn't, because it's so much variety in it, and you can also play a little bit with the gravity to let you fall and then push from the foot. You can also make combinations from it. And this is not what I understand, that there is for some people only one, one there. I not understand that one, Sean. You understand that?
no, not really. Not anymore. Plus,
Really?
think about it like this, Tom. Is all the things, if you talk about natural, right? All the things that you and I mentioned are all natural things. So
Yes.
they're all natural things, right? I mean, we did not mention something that, we had to invent. No, no, the surface, the touch point, that's all natural, right? It is not like, gravity. We didn't invent gravity. And even Newton didn't invent gravity. Gravity is there. The factor we say is we try to help you experiment to make use it in the dancing as much as possible. But every time you use it, you use something was given by nature. What you could say is, it is not very common that people move in that way. People say this is how most people move, and that is natural. Well,
Mhm.
so much, right? Unnatural would be jumping up and never come down again. That would be unnatural, right? Does that make sense? But when we jump up, we all come down. That's very natural.
Yeah.
How you come down is and how you land, these now become choices.
And you could work with joints
Yeah.
to have a soft landing, or you will block your joints, and it will you will hurt yourself, maybe in your back or in other place in your body, in your knees or in your hips. But it is not so healthy. And so also that one, if you jump from something or you jump from the floor, it could be also both or vice versa. It's also how to arrive with the contact points, the support points on that floor. And mostly, if you jump from the seat, it's from the toe to the knee to the hip, and that would be the normal. That you bend them, and slowly you will absorb that floor. And
Yeah.
yeah, for me, it's magic. Since I know this, I can analyze more the balance for myself, but also for
For others.
people who are working with me. And that makes it incredible, because these are my tool to have balance. Of course, balance is also in the human body, in the eyes, in the ears of your senses, and from your feeling, and from your proprioception and your experience also, and also from your how older you get, and how your balance will change. Even you have a trick. Um, it's not a trick, but they did in the science, Sean. They measure the seconds in the age, how long you can generally have the balance. Say 1,015 years old one could hold the balance maybe 30 seconds, and a 50-year-old one say 10 seconds. I don't know the exact numbers, but it's there. And if you close your eyes and you count only the seconds, you could guess how old somebody is. And I did this on national television in the Netherlands, like a musician who did this test, and he guessed how old they were between 57 and 60. And he said sometimes exact the same number because he had the seconds, because he didn't look, but he looked on to the person when he was off balance, and he calculated the second and said then the age. And from the 10 times, 8 times he was correct.
Pretty,
And
pretty good.
the person, how is that possible? How you didn't know my age and you guessed my age without that you saw me?
Pretty good. Well, with that, Ton, we are way over the hour already.
Yes.
That's pretty good. It was, it's a topic, as we always say, that requires a lot more attention. It's a good introduction. Thank you for that, Tom. Um, and um, and then we'll see you, of course, next time. With that, we have to say, unfortunately, goodbye to you, Tom, and to our listeners, viewers. Right. All righty. So that was, if everything works well, another episode of Dance Jams. And we talked today about support services, support points, centers of gravity, and gravity in dance. Like Ton and I already said, we probably did, scratch the surface only for a little bit on these things. But we actually today gave many tips, whether you follow them or not, but just experiment with it. Lay on the floor, try to stand on one toe if you can, use only your fingers to stand on whatever you try. Maybe look chi running, look it up a little bit, and that constant falling. A lot of things, if you slow down this podcast, there's a lot of little gems. That's a little joke. A little gem in there that you can find and experience. Yeah. With that, Ton, I say goodbye to you and to our listeners.
Good.
Thank you for listening. I'll start the music and tell us very quickly where you can find us.
If you games go proud,
Yes, and that was another episode of Dance Gems. We are also to be found at Spotify, Dance Gems, Apple, Dance Gems, YouTube at Tom Greten Podcast, website www.jamdance.podcast, and of course on all other social media like Facebook, where we have our own Facebook group. So with that, I say to you all, bye bye.